Rock Metal Nation, what is up? Real quick before we get started, I just wanted to let you know that Rock Metal Studios, the very same studio that brings you the Rock Metal podcast, is looking to help bands who are able to record their tracks either at home or in a professional recording studio, but need some help mixing. Go ahead and send me an email at therockmetalpodcast@gmail.com. That's therockmetalpodcast@gmail.com. We can go ahead and discuss mixing your tracks for free. The Rock Metal Podcast, episode 120 with Bad Llama. Metal Nation, what is up? This is John from the Rock Metal Podcast. That sample you just heard was Apocrypha by Bad Llama, who I've got on the show with me right now. They're an alternative rock metal band from the UK. We're going to be listening to that song as well as one other while finding out more information about the band. Boys, welcome to the show.
What's up, bud? Hello.
Well, hello. Great having you guys on. Let's go listen back to that track, Apocrypha. Coming back from the track, so I really dig this track. What was the story or inspiration behind the track?
I wrote in a way so like it kind of questions that humankind is indoctrinated from birth to be taught the ideals of life by keepers of untold truths as individuals, where we should be all be entitled to pursue self-discovery.
Wow, I was not expecting that one.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I'm not going to lie. Kyle read that, you know. He had dummy cards.
I always the amount of songs we've wrote over the last couple of years, I always tend to forget and get songs mixed up, so I have to write them down.
No worries, sir. No worries. Now, was there anything unique about the writing process when it came to Apocrypha?
The song came together quite quickly, really. I think I wrote a very basic riff, which you hear at the beginning of the song, and then, it didn't sound like anything too show-stopping. It was kind of, dare I say, generic at first, but then Dan found this really interesting hook over the top, and then, Lewis come up with some really interesting bass lines in the verses, and it kind of took on a different form then, and it just, it really turned into something different to what we had no, what's the word?
We had no plan for it, did we?
Yeah, we had no plan for it. We didn't see it being the lead single either. We weren't ever planning for it to be the lead single, but as soon as it was recorded, we felt like, yeah, this actually it's quite hooky, and we decided to throw it out there first.
Cool. I was actually going to ask if it was one of the tracks that maybe you guys were playing live and the audience just always responded to it, and you thought, well, if the audience digs it, then it must be the lead single.
Actually, I don't think we ever actually played it until live, really, until it was really released.
Yeah.
Because we was kind of keeping all the songs from our previous EP in the set. So we were kind of making sure that they got the most promotion that they needed, and then we were kind of throwing in the new EP songs now, including Apocrypha and Crooked Empire and things like that.
Cool. Now, for Rock Metal Nation who dug the track Apocrypha, as a special bonus, if you go to today's show notes, www.therockmetalpodcast.ca, you can go and see the music video for it. Now, boys, why don't you take us through the cinematography of the music video? What was the inspiration behind it?
We kind of wanted something like a performance type video, we're just trying to promote, obviously how we look and how we perform, but then in a studio sort of setting, a bit more relaxed. But then we also wanted to sort of, include some of the lyrics, the theme from the lyrics into the video as well. And that's why in the video you see Kyle sort of reading through these books from history and things like that, sort of scratching his head in this cinematic reel sort of thing. And it's kind of just like a bit of a nod to the lyrics sort of thing, but nothing too obvious. And, we just tried to make it look quirky and, it was kind of just like studio vibe really, wasn't it? A bit loungy, and we're happy with the way it turned out.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's go listen to the next track, Crooked Empire.
Out from the light, I
Metal Nation, it's John from the Rock Metal Podcast for a real quick break to let you know that Jay over at Metal Mayhem Radio is looking to help you get your band in rotation on his station. So go ahead and hit up Jay at studio@metalmayhemradio.co.uk. That is studio@metalmayhemradio.co.uk. Just go ahead and say that the Rock Metal Podcast sent you. He'll get you into rotation on Metal Mayhem Radio. Coming back from Crooked Empire. Now, I really dig the bass sound. I don't know if it's the same bass sound as on Apocrypha, but I really dig the bass sound that stands out for some reason in this song for me. And then it seems to grow in depth emotionally as the song carries on. As I was listening to it, I'm like, that's new, that's new, and it kept growing for me as it went on. It was cool stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. We were actually quite worried at first that because it starts like a really heavy rock sort of riff with the bass line, it really goes in a different direction, and we kept toying with the idea of going back to the original riff and everything, it never really worked. So we were worried that it was going to be a bit strange, but we're really happy with the way it turned out. It's really different and unique, like you say. And like I said, I'm happy that he's mentioned the bass sound, because we were happy with the way the bass sounded at the beginning as well. What was the pedal you used for this?
It was the Omega Alpha pedal by
Dark Glass
Electronics. Yeah,
Dark Glass. Yeah, and it's quite a
Swedish.
Yeah, boutique distorted overdrive pedal, wasn't it? Yeah, and that's where the bass tone comes from at the beginning. So
let's try out a new toy in the studio.
Yeah, which is really cool.
Exactly. Now, was that the only time that you guys used that bass pedal on the EP?
You used it on a few other tracks as well, didn't
you? There's another track, the opening track of the EP. I used that pedal quite a lot in it. Yeah, it really just adds a different dimension into the verses.
Yeah, that song's called Hollow Thieves. That'll be the opening track of the EP. So yeah, that pedal makes an appearance in that song too.
A big appearance.
Yeah.
Cool. Did you guys experiment with some new equipment and new ideas a lot when you guys were working on creating what we're listening to now?
Definitely, yeah. And that's down to our producer, Gavin Monahan from Magic Garden Studios. He's great. You know, it's just especially from a guitar player's point of view, it's just like there's endless amounts of guitar pedals and amps and things like that. And you just, basically we write the song, the basic song, but without not many sounds, kind of just
get a great song to start off with, and then sort of improve on it, by sort of experimenting with all these different effects and sounds.
And sometimes effects.
And sometimes it can take it to a different place,
Yeah, sometimes effects will end up on the record that we had no intentions of putting on. Like all of a sudden there'll be some crazy delays or modulations and things that, like in Apocrypha, for instance, like the phaser and things like that. And I think you've got some chorus and delays on
the lead part. Yeah.
And they were all sort of Gav's ideas, and so Gav's in the studio is kind of just as much of the part of the song.
It's kind of like the mad scientist.
Yeah, that's the best way of putting it. Mad scientist. Yeah.
Now I'm curious, what is the story or inspiration behind Crooked Empire?
I kind of wrote about manipulation from like a higher source, like a higher person, a person in power, and about how they can make people do things that they not necessarily want to do, but they think it's the right thing for the person that they're trying to please, and how that can take a really dark turn, and they can literally make them do whatever they like without tending to question it.
You were deep, sir.
I apologize. I wish it was simpler.
No worries, sir.
I think it was Dan that turned around. I mean, when we wrote the song, it was kind of like had this, especially the outro when we talked about that too. There's like a big baritone guitar that comes in at the end that's like gives it a really meaty sound, and it had this really sinister sort of vibe to it at the end, a bit haunting. And Dan says that the lyrics should really portray that as well. And so we wanted something a bit dark for the lyrics. And Kyle, you were reading up on a lot of stuff to do with,
Charles Manson.
Yeah, serial killers, and Charles Manson in particular, and the horrible atrocities that he caused and everything.
So I tried to write it from one of the women's perspectives that was following him and following his ideologies.
Wow. Yeah, it brings up a really good point. I'm trying to remember what it's called. Forbidden Keys to Persuasion is a book if you ever get your hands on it. And basically it's a marketer who said, how in the world did these people, for example, and that Charles Manson's one of them, or the guy who led like 70 people out to an island and gave them poison Kool-Aid and they all drank it, and people were like feeding their children poison Kool-Aid and they all died, or like, in the 90s, the Comet guy who had all the people drink the poison Kool-Aid or whatever for the Comet. And it's like, how in the world does somebody have that level of control over people? And so he wrote this book called The Forbidden Keys to Persuasion, which is an absolutely interesting read.
Yeah, I'll definitely check that out. Thank you.
And that's pretty much exactly sort of the theme of the song, the lyrics. That's pretty much bang on what it's sort of trying to get at, but getting into the nitty-gritty psychological side of things as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Now, for Rock Metal Nation who dug the track Crooked Empire, if you go to today's show notes, that's www.therockmetalpodcast.ca. You can go ahead and see the music video for Crooked Empire. Now, boys, go ahead and take us through the inspiration behind the music video for Crooked Empire.
Well, my sister and Lewis's girlfriend, same person, also she takes a lot of photos for the bands, and she also films a lot of footage of our live performances, and she's been doing it over the last sort of 6 months or so, and all of our, quite our bigger gigs like Slade Rooms, Rock City, the O2 Academies, and we saw all this footage that she'd got. She captured some really great moments of us playing live and really captured our live energy, and we kind of just turned it into a compilation and threw it all together, and it worked really well with the song, so it's got kind of a vintage look to it, hasn't it? It's kind of like, it's a live performance video of all, the gigs, live gigs and everything.
It's the best moments, and, kind of really gets across what we're like, as a live band.
Yeah, so it's a good advert for what we are like as a band live.
The thing is, we didn't want people to we didn't want the video to play out what the lyrics are. We'd rather them go back, listen to it, and then listen to the song again and get their own inspiration from it and see what they think of it personally and make their own assumptions.
Well, cool stuff. Now, what exciting news do you guys have coming up for Rock Metal Nation to pay attention to?
Well, we're releasing the EP, Crooked Empire, on March the 16th. So that's, the sort of big thing to look out for. We've also got a gig coming up at the Slade Rooms.
That's the day after, I believe.
Yeah, the day after. Yeah, so that'll be kind of like the launch of the EP, really.
Now, for the Rock Metal Nation listeners who are frothing at the ears at what they've just heard with Apocrypha and Crooked Empire, and they cannot wait for March 16th, how can they keep in touch with you? Is there a website that they should go to?
Follow us on Facebook. That's the main contact point. And also we are on Instagram and Twitter. And you get daily updates on that.
Yeah. Twitter's got the daily updates of all the radio playing stuff that we're getting at the minute.
Little different flavour of Bad Llama every day.
That's it.
Different taste in your mouth.
That was an image.
Wow. Images are available
on our Instagram.
All right, perfect. So, guys, unless there's anything else you wanted to throw out there, I just wanted to thank you for taking time out of your day to come on to the Rock Metal Podcast and sharing Bad Llama with Rock Metal Nation.
Pleasure.
No problem, man. Thanks for having us on.
I play bass.
All right, Rock Metal Nation. Hopefully you just found your new favorite band in Bad Llama. Big thanks again to them for coming on and sharing their music with us. Make sure to head over to www.therockmetalpodcast.ca to get all the information on the show you just heard today. And until then, rock on, Rock Metal Nation.